spot to do this. I have my mic thing right here. Ugh. All right. So let's see who pops into the live chat. I don't announce these things, so I never trust myself to actually use the time that I say I'm gonna use. So I always pop on, and I'm always waiting to see if other people will pop into the chat and say hello. So yeah. So what's been going on? Right now I'm sitting in the box truck. I have not moved back in. I think that confuses people sometimes. I have not moved back into the box truck. I am still in company housing, but I was just moving some things back over to the box truck so that I won't have as many things to move over as I get to the end of the October. Speaking of which, originally my contract with Oregon Shakespeare Festival, actually, it was offered until the end of October. And then when I actually got the contract to sign, it was only until mid-October. And then when I talked to my supervisor, they were like, no, basically, I'm the coverage for 2 shows that are still running until the end of October. So they want me to be here to be on call for those shows until the end of October. So technically, it's kind of a contract extension, but it's also kind of what it was originally supposed to be anyway. So either way, I'm actually on contract in Ashland until the end of October, not the middle of October like I thought. So that changes my plans up a bit. But either way, there's stuff I don't need in the company housing apartment that I just moved back over here. It's not organized in here. It looks crazy. Well, it doesn't look that crazy, honestly. It's just that there's stuff in bins and bags instead of in their place. All right, I saw some people popped into the chat. So, hello. Card Gamer was the first one to say first. And also the first. Tina's here. Nancy's here. Kelly's here. Ara Nelson's here. Hello to Sacramento. Hope Bus is here. J.R. Raven's here. Coralie is here. Teresa's here. Judith's here. Scott's here. Ramona's here. Oh, geez, my throat is feeling weird. Susan's here. Felix went to the vet today to get the last of his kitten shots. We were getting caught up on those. So he was not happy about it, but it was really because he just freezes up at the vet. So he doesn't fight. He's not meowing. He's just frozen in absolute terror, being in a strange environment. So number one, that makes it easy on the vet because honestly, he just freezes up. If I stay still, I'll just sink into the wall or something. So there's not a lot of meow or any of that. But I always feel bad for him because he's like, oh my God, why did you bring me here to this place where they poke me with things? But he's fine now. He's running around the apartment, being a cat. And the most thing that the vet said was he might show signs of tiredness or he may show no reaction at all, and he seems to show no reaction at all. So that's good, and he's all caught up on his shots. So yeah, kitten health, as it were. Oh man. I'm looking at the chat, guys. Coralie says, managed to catch a live from the beginning. Well, thankfully it's 6:30, so hopefully it's not too crazy time-wise for you. I know, we live on different poles of the world almost, so sometimes catching things on time is hard from Australia. I'm glancing through the chat. Hey, Miss Pamela, so you're going to be driving and listening. Thank you for listening. J.R. Raven says, my cat stitches a hole in the vet. I was worried, especially when he got his nails clipped at the vet, because the vet was like, "Do you want me to clip them?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, take that task away from me for a little while." And so, like, she clipped his nails, and he still was just frozen. Like, he was pulling his paw away, but he wasn't attacking. So I was like very impressed, but also felt sad for him because I knew like he uh he wasn't in the mood for. He just wanted to escape. Corley says it's almost 12:30 in the middle of the day here on the east coast of Australia. I don't ever try to guess, what time it is in Australia when I see you pop up, because I'm like, I cannot remember what the time difference is. Lisa says, congratulations, shouting from Jamaica. Yay, that's so awesome to hear. Wonderful having somebody in the chat from Jamaica. Supernova says, hey, Dawn, it's 8:30 p.m. on the 504. See the 2 hour difference I get, because, like, I still have, like, East Coast peoples. So, like, I know how to play with that. But, like, when people are in different countries, I'm like, how is this going to affect viewers in different countries? Like, you never really know. Corley says, do you think Felix will have any trouble settling into the box truck once you're back in there? I don't know. It does worry me a little bit, but I will be able to ease him into it. Like, I'm thinking, like, when we move into the box truck, I won't be going on any, like, long drives. Like, it'll be, like, short spurt drives, so he gets used to the idea of the truck moving. Because, yeah, he hasn't been in here consistently since he was a kitten, and the only time I've put him in here since we've been in the tiny house and the apartment is, 1, to move from the tiny house to the apartment, and 2, to go to the vet. So unfortunately, he has traumatic memories associated with getting in the truck now, and I think that's more recent to him than the amount of time he spent as a kitten in here when he was very, very little. So yeah, I am worried about Felix's transition back into the full-time box truck thing. I think he'll be okay though. Like, I'm not like 100% worried. I just think, like, and because Mickey will be here, he'll gauge a lot of, like, if this is okay, I think, by, like, Mickey being like, oh, okay, I remember this. Like, Tina says, Buddy got his nails trimmed yesterday and he wasn't happy either. Oh, poor pets. Nancy says, I'm watching you on the TV, listening to you on the phone, and reading the chatting on the phone. That's some multitasking right there. That's impressive, Nancy. Supernova says the UK is 6 hours ahead of the US, and New Zealand is 12 hours ahead of the US. Yeah, Corley says, in regards to Felix, I think having his big brother with him will make a difference to how comfortable he feels in the truck for sure. Yeah, and, like, when we initially get back in the truck, I want him to just be in here for, like, a day or 2 without the truck actually driving, and then, like, sort of ease him into the idea of the truck driving. And I think I'll have a situation where I can do that, so it's just not, like, shock, big trip or anything. But, animals, I've been shocked how much animals adapt, because I've seen people with dogs. I'm less shocked. I'm more shocked when the dog doesn't adapt. And I have heard of people, like, wanting to take their dogs into van life, or camping life or whatever, and the dog just is not into it. Like, it's not the right match of dog to van life. But that's very, very rare in comparison to, like, cats, and their adjustments. But I've honestly been shocked how many stories I've seen of people who've taken their adult cats on the road, who've, like, lived in houses all their life, and they've adjusted and, like, been into it. So, like, number 1, because I think Mickey will be fine. He'll feed off of Mickey's energy. And number 2, I think he will adjust and get used to it, So yeah, it's going to be quite a little change for him. But look, I mean, right now I have until the end of the month in the company housing, which is right across the street out there. I'm parked across the street because I picked up the truck today. um, so yeah. That's why I'm sitting in here right now. IMG, thank you for the super sticker. I love the little smiley face guy. The stickers are so cute. They're adorable. So yeah, as I was saying, I have a lot of stuff just set out. That's a new rug for the floor. I want to put a new rug on this floor. I had one down here. It looked really gross just from traveling and stuff like that. So I threw it out and have a new rug that I'm going to put down on this part of the floor. That's just stuff that I packed up and bought back in here. They gave me towels in the housing, so I thought I'd just bring my towel. I washed my towel, bought it back in here, and I was like, I'll just use their towels because then I can wash them last day and leave them in there. There's some miscellaneous stuff over in that bag where I'm like, I don't really need this. This is for an electrical project I need to do, which is why I also have 2 new solar panels. I bought these before my grand disaster when the truck had to go into the mechanic. So I've had these ready to go. And so those are going to be going into the roof, adding another 200 watts up there. The reason why I go with the flexible panels, like, I've gotten a billion suggestions from people who are trying to, like, fix my box truck with the, you know, the power, me saying, like, you know, keeping the power on was hard. The thing is, it was also trusting nothing would go wrong while I was at work for really long stretches. You know, like, if I had, like, 2 hours somewhere and was coming back, that's one thing. And I have all kinds of monitoring systems in here. Most of you haven't seen this. I don't know if I can get it on camera. It's off right now because it's a waste of power to have it on. There it is. I might get up and show it. Like I said, it's not plugged in right now, but this right here is a temperature monitor, and I have a temperature sensor in here and a temperature sensor outside, and it does connect to Wi-Fi. So I can find out what temperature it is in here when I'm not here. And of course, I installed a nanny cam right after I got Felix. But even with those things, it was like if I had an 8-hour shift and something went wrong, like 2 hours into the shift, you know, it was still going to be really hard for me to get back to the box truck, you know, in a reasonable amount of time to solve the problem. So when we went into the tiny house was a favor. The company housing is not a favor. It was something that was offered to me as a standard part of my contract, which I think some people were confused about. The tiny house was a favor because I was stupid and the first time said no to the housing. While they were trying to find housing for me within housing they already own for employees, I stayed in the tiny house because it was safer. And so, yeah, if I had more power, maybe some of the things that were an issue wouldn't have been an issue. But the thing is, I could also just turn everything off and put the cats in a house where I did not have to constantly be opening an app to try to figure out if my cats were safe. And I was in a panic all day. Like, as much as I was throwing, like, jokey little images up of the cats, like, oh, look at this goofy thing I caught on camera. Like, I was constantly looking at the camera every break to be sure they were okay. I was constantly looking up the temperature in the rig to make sure they were okay because I was having 8 to 10 hour days. And even if something went wrong, I would have had to tell people I was leaving. It would have been an interruption for me to leave. There was no guarantee that I could split second get home if the temperature got too high, or split second get home. And there were times, like, honestly, for some reason, something disconnected. And so I couldn't get the app to work. So if I rushed home at that point, I could have been rushing home for nothing. Just because a Wi-Fi disconnected, which it does. Like, sometimes that just happens for weird random reasons nobody knows. And so even with these precautions in place would have been great for a day I was going out with my friends for a few hours, but was not great for an 8 to 10 hour work day. And so, yes, I do want to solve the power problem. I do think, you know, some of the new things I've added have added different strains to the batteries that weren't present before. But I also think the smartest thing I did was ask for the favor of the tiny house so that I could just be at peace. No matter how many hours I was at work, I knew the cats were fine, you know? And the same thing with getting into employee housing. No matter how many hours a day I needed to be away or leave at the last minute or whatever, I knew the cats were fine. And that just gave me a peace of mind that made life easier. And there was no reason for me to ignore a literal perk of my job, a literal part of my contract, something that, you know, being on an equity contract is standard more often than it's not, in order to gain van life points by staying in here under conditions that weren't ideal, especially when it came to leaving my pets here when I was away. And so that, and it also didn't make sense to take them back and forth, you know? It did not make sense to be like, all right, while I'm at work, I'll put them in here, and then when I leave work, I'll take them out. It was just like, no, just fully commit and do what you have to do. But all that to say, I am going to be doing an electrical upgrade, which is why I got these. And all this stuff in the bag is the electrical upgrade. Well, it's stuff I need. But I do have a nanny cam now just for being able to view the inside of the box truck. And this is a temperature sensor. And when it's on, in the near future, I will show it to you guys. So yeah, my bed is also like, there's all kinds of stuff up on the bed because I need to do a little micro construction project up here. So that's what it is. My bed is just full of junk right now. And also, I didn't tell you guys this, but my freezer died. Like my little, the little fridge. Because you remember I used my fridge and my freezer for steps up to my bed? Well, ice cold fridge, this thing is going strong. I've had no problems with it. It's solid as a rock. But the little fridge I used to have down here, dead as a door now. Had to replace it. I actually replaced it before I moved into the tiny house. So now I have this guy, which is actually slightly bigger. And this is going to be my freezer from now on. Eventually I'll do a full video about it, but it has the same kind of metallic body, and I paid for this one. That was not a review item. Just like this, so it's magnetized on the outside. And for the 2 days I used it before I moved into the tiny house, I really did like it. So that's another new thing I got. All right, I did a lot of talking. Let's see what I'm missing from the chat while I'm running my mouth about things. It's so hard to actually read the chat and move the camera around. Nancy, thank you for the $2 1-up super sticker. It's awesome. Tina says, flex panels didn't do so well for me. Hope it works for you. I've had flexible panels on my roof from the beginning, and they've been fine. Like, I've had no discernible problems with them. Like, honestly, they've been fine. I've had zero issues with my flexible panels, except for the one that got blown off the roof at some point. But as far as their actual function when they're plugged in, I've had zero problems. The one that I got off eBay, they lied about the wattage, basically. It's supposed to be an 150 watt panel. I'm pretty sure it's an 100 watt panel. I wondered why the price was so cheap, but that's because it's a cheap panel. Like, quality panels, like my other panel up there is a Renogy panel, and I don't think you have to pay as much as Renogy. There's other solar people out there, but like the other panel isn't pulling the advertised wattage because the person who sold it on eBay basically lied, and I'm not taking it off the roof now. It's been up there way too long. And it's fine. The combination is fine. but I've had no actual problems with them. Like, it's doing its job. Like when there's enough sun, it pulls enough wattage. When there's not enough sun, it doesn't. So I've had no real problems with the flexible panels. And for me, the reason why I chose the flexible panels is because they're lightweight and I can install them myself. If I got hard-sided panels, I need some sort of rigging to rig them to the roof. My roof is an aluminum roof on this box truck. So it's like I need rigging I know that is going to support the weight of hard-sided panels, and I don't have the skill, time, or money to do that. Whereas with the flexible panels, they're very easy install and they've been working so far. So that's what it is. Sometimes you have to take the hit on what you know is within your power to do. And what's within my power is to use the flexible panels. And I've had no real issues with the use of the flexible panels. I'm picking the phone up because I'm trying to read the chat. Damien, thank you for the $1 super chat. Adrian said, thank you for the $10 super sticker. Kathy says, you are such a good kitty, Mom. IMG says, did you get the stuff? I have not checked my mail since last week. I should be going over to the mailroom next week. Ramona says it was safer in the house for the cats and you. Thank you. Liz Carter says, hi Dawn, long time no see. Congrats on the extension. We all know this is the chosen career path you want to pursue. Congrats, so happy for you. Thank you so much. Gail Cousin, hi Gail. Liz Maynard says, hi Dawn. Ramona says something I agree with. She says, you guys are awesome with the super stickers. Earl Blackman says, do you think the flexible solar panels are better than the non-flexible panels? No, I do not. Only because all research says otherwise. It has nothing to do with my personal experience. But I have heard from people who know what they're talking about that the flexible solar panels, when compared, one-to-one with their hard-sided counterparts, are not as good. That being said, they aren't so terrible that if it fits your situation, I personally would turn away from them. For my situation, for what I can physically do myself, they have been perfect for my use. And I know other people who either have odd-shaped roofs or have specific needs where the flexible panel is just the better choice. And so they go with the flexible panel. So, I think like folding suitcases are a pain in the butt. But for some people, like, that's the best choice for them. And there's 100 reasons why they're a pain in the butt. But other people, a folding suitcase panel is what works for them. And so, like, I think you also have to measure things by need, as opposed to, it's like, there isn't enough loss, in my imagining, for my use, for me to care that the hard-sided panel is the better option. If I was in a situation where I thought I could mount them safely, I had the right rigging for it, or I had help, then there might be different decisions I make. But based on the situation that I have and my reality and my money and cost and what I personally can do, the flexible panel is the better choice for my use, less so than the, best choice in some abstract table of the world. So that is why I have the flexible panels, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Adoji? Edoji says, I'd love to get that big freezer you have someday. I love this Iceco fridge. Like, honestly, it's been in storage, out of storage, in the Chevy van, in this box truck. It's gone down the road. It's, it has dents in it. And that thing is still held up for me. I don't know about other people's experience with Iceco, but I'm like a huge Iceco fan. They are a bit pricey. And so I know that can be a challenge for some people, but I freaking love my ice cold fridge. Like, it's been a champ. Rescue Dog Treat says, what's your plan after Ashland? Sorry if you answered this already. So, I have a job in January. You know, hopefully nothing changes. Cross my fingers. I won't say where or more details, but I do have a job in January that I have to get to. And that job is not in Ashland. So what's going to happen between November and January is honestly still at this point up in the air. It's a 2-month question mark. So honestly, I don't know. So I can't answer the question because I honestly don't know. It's a 2-month question mark. I would like to visit the coast. I've been in Oregon a couple of times now, and I've never visited the coast, and everybody talks about the coast. And so once I have some time off, I'd really like to visit the coast. I'd like to see Jaylena, and meet her beautiful little baby. There's some things I'd like to do, but how I'm scheduling them, when I'm doing them, don't know yet. You know? Tina's the Outsider says, I killed my flex panel. I like my Renogy 100. How'd you kill it, though? Because it shouldn't be killed from use. Like, Kathy Livingston says, I missed the beginning. Tell us again about your contract extension and your plans, please. To make it short, originally I was supposed to be here until the end of October. By the time I signed the contract, that date had changed to mid-October. But that feels kind of stupid because I'm coverage for 2 shows. My main show closes on the 15th. But I am also the backup for 2 other shows and trained on those shows in case somebody gets sick before the end of the festival. So me staying until those other 2 shows that I'm back up on closes makes more sense. And so my supervisor was basically, no, we're going to talk to everybody and get those original dates reset. So basically it's just 2 extra weeks. So instead of leaving in mid-October, I'm here till the end of October. That's the extension. Jose says, I installed 250-watt hard solar panels on my roof rack so I don't have to drill into the ceiling of the SUV. I mean, there's lots of ways to not do a non-drill install. I have a thin aluminum roof. Like, when I did my minivan, I used a hard solar panel and I did not screw into the roof. I actually used a non-drill install, and that minivan also had a roof rack. It was a lot going on there. The Chevy van also had a roof rack on it when I got it. And so, yeah, again, the panels were not drilled into the roof, but they were attached to a roof rack that was rigged to the roof and very secure. They don't make those stock for box trucks. So I'm in a box truck. There's nothing stock that you can get that's a rack or a rigging system. So you need to be able to create your own to some extent. And so, yeah, the choice was easy. I was getting flex panels because I knew I could get those up there by myself. They wouldn't be heavy, especially because this is the first time my roof has been so far off the ground. So I had to get the panels up there. I knew I had to attach them. And for me, in my situation, like, hard-sided panels were not an option for what I needed to do in order to be able to live in here. And when I first lived in here, I installed my first 2 panels while I was living in here. One of them got blown off by the wind, but whatever. I installed my first 2 panels badly. Not using proper attachment methods. And lost a panel, but I did it while I had nothing in here. I didn't have walls, I didn't have anything, but I was sleeping on a sleeping bag on the floor, and I needed to be able to charge my Jackery, and I couldn't depend on putting the panel outside because I was still living in the city. And so, yeah, I had to run solar cables through the roof and plug into the Jackery, which was sitting on the floor at the time. There was not time for me to rig up a roof system that could have supported hard-sided panels. There just wasn't the time. I just needed to live. And the thing that was going to get me living with power the fastest was a flexible panel. Kathy says the coast is a great idea, especially in the fall and winter, usually clear and no fog. Awesome. Scott Argyle says, I've been on the Oregon coast since June 1st. I love it. Been too hot back home in Salt Lake City. I want to go back to Utah so bad. Like so bad, you don't know. It was such a beautiful state to drive through. Oh my gosh. Apparently my connection is going in and out. Sorry about that, guys. Let me do this. Hopefully I don't freeze. Can everybody still hear me, see me, all that stuff? I actually turned off the Wi-Fi connection. Car Gamer says, didn't you use glue on one vehicle? I did not. I use VHB tape and also a roofing sealing tape. And that's how I use brackets with VHB tape and roof sealing tape. And then I actually used a different roofing tape on the panel that got lost. And I switched out to a different roofing tape for my current panels that haven't gone anywhere. So yeah, it's kind of a pain in the arse to get off if you ever have to get them off, but also there's no good way to rig them up there even with screwing systems, and I don't want to risk putting any holes in my roof, but I never used glue. Kathy Livingston says flex panels are also low profile and make a big difference. Yeah, and for some people that's a big deal. I mean, honestly, like my roof is so high in the air, even if I had hard-sided panels up there, nobody would know what it was. They just think there was some metal thing raised up off the roof. So even if I had hard-sided panels on some kind of rack, nobody would know what it was. Like, they wouldn't be able to tell. Especially people not paying that much attention. Like, people have thought my box truck with the windows and the roof vent and all that other stuff, they've asked me what I was hauling. That's how much people pay attention. Like, they never questioned that this was anything but a truck that was hauling something. Even with all the evidence that it's a camper. So I think if I had hard-sided panels, nobody would notice. But I do think for some people, having a low-profile flex panel definitely makes a difference. Hopefully, I'm not going... Okay, people said the connection went fine. Yay! Where am I? Tina's the Outsider says, watch my solar install. We use metal slats and attach them to the roof racks. Was this the flexible panel? Because if you attach the flexible panel for the roof racks, did you have any issues with, like, air getting under there? Because I just thought that would be kind of a huge issue with a flexible panel. Yeah. Curious. J.R. Raven says, come meet me for lunch, Dawn. If you come to Nehalem, is that how you pronounce it? Also at the Buckle House, you can take a shower for $250. That's not bad. Okay, I'm getting confirmation there was just a little hiccup in the connection. Okay. Scott Argyle says the solar panels on my utility trailer, 600 watts of VHB tape. How's the VHB tape going for you? I had no problem with the VHB tape install. People were like, they're going to blow off, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. My VA also on the Chevy Express, when I switched out the panels, I used the same method, and they were fine. They never went anywhere. You have to do it right though, because if you don't do it right, you could be in trouble. Earl Blackman says, while driving in the city, do you notice more about low hanging bridges? Yes, I am so cautious of bridges in the city. I will say in the areas I've been in, like, there's other moving trucks, there's dump trucks, there's recycle trucks. Like, some of those trucks are bigger than I am. So in my head, like, this truck is huge, but I also have to remember, in comparison to, like, even other box trucks, this isn't necessarily that big. Like, there are way bigger box trucks moving through the city every day. And so in the areas I tend to frequent, there aren't that many, like, super low hanging bridges where I don't fit or that has been an issue. In my imaginary head, it's been an issue because I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It says the clearance is right. It says the clearance is good. And then I go out there under it with no problem. So in my head, I'm like so overcautious that I'm nervous about bridges I have absolutely no trouble clearing. Because, yeah, you have to think about it. In the main thoroughfares of the city, there's school buses, there's shuttle buses, there's dump trucks, there's utility trucks, there's full-size vans. Uh-oh. All right, so my battery's getting low. There's full-size vans that are delivering stuff for, like, Amazon and UPS and stuff like that. And I'm honestly not that outside of their size profile. So in my own head, this truck is way bigger than it actually is. Like, even on the street I'm parked now, it's like, oh my God, am I going to fit? I fit fine. Like, with a little, not as much clearance as a car, but with some clearance on the side. You know, and I do get nervous about the fact in some places I sit out a little bit more than a car. But yeah, there's all kinds of big vehicles driving through cities, and we just don't tend to think about them. Like, you know, if city buses are driving through the street, I certainly can. You know, if if the trash truck is coming every week to pick up trash, you know, down this alley, I'm probably going to be okay. And those are the kind of things I have to, like, constantly remind myself, because I do get nervous about it sometimes. Mm-mm-mm. Jose says solar panels need air to go through it to keep it cool, because otherwise they'll get hot and won't produce that much energy. This is true, but flex panels, you have to remember, are designed with the idea that they're going to lay flat on something. So they are also designed different from the, you know, if you put air under them, air is going to catch them and cause them to fly off off into, which is what you don't happen. There are ways to attach it so that there's a little bit of air in there, but if a lot of air gets under there, your flex panel is going to go flying down the road. And that's the thing. Oh my God. Nancy, are you okay? What kind of car accident? Oh my God. I hope you're okay. At least reply in the chat and tell me you're okay. I'm okay with you not reading the chat, but I just want to know you're okay. Going back to the flexible panel discussion, poor Nate lost one off his element way back when he when taped, but the next one was fine. Yeah, and it's one of those things where the kind of tape you have to use it correctly, or you will lose the solar panel. Um, Scott Argyle says my panels are mounted to brackets VHB to the roof. That's how I did mine on my minivan because I had a hard sided panel. But with the soft sided panels, I just did, and it's actually, I've seen people seal them all around. I left the corners unattached specifically so it's not all sealed down there, and so if like a little bit of air gets in there, it's not as much as raising it on a rack, but flex panels aren't designed to be raised on a rack. So yeah. Nancy, yeah, let us know you're okay. Oh God, okay, Nancy, thanks for the update. Nancy says totaled my car, rear-ended someone with no brake lights, banged up a bit, but okay, and everything happens for a reason. Oh God, now I can get my van. As long as you're okay, like vehicle stuff can always be sorted out, but I'm glad you're okay. I think I was worried. I don't think I was worried. I was worried, so I'm so glad you're okay. Please take care of yourself. If you can't reply to the chat and you need to focus, totally understandable. Um, please take care of yourself and double check you're okay, because sometimes when we have these collisions, we have those delayed pains. So yeah, just take care of yourself, please. EMJ, thank you for the $10. It says for you and your kitties. Thank you so much. Leslie Hughes says, mine aren't flexible. We're talking about solar panels and screwed in on the roof, and of course have to have the gap underneath to help rid water, stop damp rust. Problem is being a sprinter, it's very tall, so I can't check them very often. And that's something a lot of people don't talk about is like, once you get solar panels, you need to be able to go up there and check them. And not a lot of people talk about that. They're like, oh, I have this tall vehicle, and it's why I've always needed to own a ladder, And honestly, I get a little nervous every time I have to get up on this roof, and I do not get up to check my panels as much as I should. It's, but it is a chore, like they need to be clean, they should be checked. There's all kinds of things you should do to just take care of your panels. Like you don't just slap them up there and ignore them. So yeah, it's a thing, and it's a thing that's not talked about nearly enough. And if one gets damaged, like I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting a charge, and then I went up there, and apparently a tree branch had skated across the top of the truck and ripped one of the cables loose. Because like when I'm driving in the city, like a lot of shopping centers are designed for regular cars. Now, mind you, all types of large vehicles go through there, but like trees will skirt right across the top of my, like, imagine this is the truck. So branches will skate across the top of my roof while I'm driving by. I shouldn't have done that, man. And so, like, sometimes it'll just get slapped across the top of one corner, and apparently the one branch, like, damaged the cable. And so I had to be able to get up on my roof to fix the cable. And I did. But, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that can beat up your solar panels. And so solar panels, like, care and maintenance is really important. Looks like we got more updates from Nancy. Nancy says, thank you so much for the concerning. Yes, delayed pains is what's happening. I'm going happening. Going back to the hospital when my husband gets home from work. Well, just please take care of yourself, Nancy. Um, Tara says, "Have you ever had to chase your cats back in the car?" No. My cats are just not that concerned about being outside. Like, even in the apartment now, when the door opens, they run in the apartment. Like, they're little scaredy wusses. Like, most people have door dashers where, like, if they open the door, they're worried about the cat running out. My cats freaking hide. Um, Felix hasn't like been in the vehicle since he was like a little kitten, because then we went to the tiny house. So it'll be interesting to see like what happens with him along the way. But they're not super interested in like running away. The one time I kind of let Mickey like come out and I just wanted to see what he was gonna do. Like, he came out, he jumped off the lift gate, he rolled in some sand, he heard a noise, and he ran back in the box truck. Um, I'm still not a big free roamer with them. They're still like, Mickey is definitely harness trained. Felix has had some exposure to the harness, but I don't have like a lot of running away issues with them. Like, they were like built to be house cats, I think, even if it's a house on wheels. Um, we got a random question. Do I like Rick and Morty? I've seen Rick and Morty. I'm kind of bored with it at this point, to be honest. So I'm not caught up on it. I got kind of disinterested in it after a while. And where are you with Star Trek stuff? I have not seen all of Strange New Worlds. I started watching it and then I started rehearsals. So I've been meaning to sit down and finish Strange New Worlds. I've seen all of Picard. I've seen all the old stuff. Anything that's old, I've seen. I am caught up on Lower Decks. I'm watching that. Lower Decks is like one of my favorite shows, so that's coming out every week. I've seen all the new shows. I've seen Prodigy. I've seen Discovery, except for Strange New Worlds, because I keep saving it for the perfect moment. And I'm like, the perfect moment is never going to come. Just watch all the episodes, because I only got as far as episode 3 before I got really busy and I couldn't really keep up with it every week. And I was like, I'm going to sit down and watch all of it in one go when things slow down. And I keep waiting for that perfect moment that never comes. But like Prodigy, Lower Decks, Discovery, Picard, I've seen all of them. I'm not a big fan of Picard. Like the last season of Picard, or season 2, I just didn't think it was that great. Discovery, I've liked more and more each season. Lower Decks, I absolutely adore. And I think Prodigy is slept on by too many people because it's a children's show. So that's where I am with Star Trek. Doo-doo-doo. Tara Shoemaker, that was not a dumb question. That's a perfectly intelligent question. And I think that's the risk of taking any animal on the road. It's like they might dash off, but especially with cats. Like, I'm shocked, honestly, like how much them trying to DoorDash has not been an issue, because I was prepared for it. Cancel. So yeah, it wasn't a dumb question at all. Mickey's like, this is great. I stay in the house. It's great. He does like going out for walks sometimes. And when I say he likes to go out for a walk, he'll get 2 feet from the box truck, find an interesting tree, and sniff around it for like a half hour. That is his idea of a walk. So like, even when I take him out on a leash, he's not like, oh, let's go. He's like, cool, this object's great. I'm gonna examine this for about an hour. You mind hanging out? So yeah, that's his life. Ava Robbie says, I wish that was my Paulie D. He's such an outside cat, only when the storms come. I'll say it. Tara Shoemaker says, that's always good. I used to have a cat that just sat there when I tried to take her outside. It's like, why would I go out there? That's a bad idea. And I talked about Felix before. Felix is the biggest stranger danger cat. Oh, shoot. We'll see how long. Ooh, I just got another notification. Hopefully I won't lose my live. But, like, if a door opens, Felix, like, flees for the hills and tries to find something to hide under. And I'm only afraid that if I take him outside, even on a leash and a harness, that he'd be more likely to slip his harness because he would get startled and he would run away from me. Like, I know Mickey's instinct is always to run toward me or toward the box truck. I'm not sure about Felix's instincts right now. So, yeah. I'm going to wrap this up probably in the next 5 minutes because basically I think my battery's going to die. So, just to let you guys know, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, please, like, take a moment and hit it. Thank you to all my lovely moderators for taking care of putting that reminder in the chat. But yeah. Adoji says, I was the same way with Rick and Morty, thought it was canceled. Yeah, I did too, and started seeing, like, people talking about Rick and Morty on YouTube, and I was like, wait, new episodes? Yeah, I just got disinterested. It got kind of repetitive and the same thing. Tara Shoemaker says, do you still live in the apartment more or in the car now? I am fully in the apartment. Going back and forth makes no sense at all. I'm in the apartment until the end of October when my contract ends. I'm not renting the apartment. There's no rental agreement involved. It is literally linked to my employment. It makes no sense to go back and forth. All of my food's in there. My clothes is in there. The cats are in there. Taking myself or the cats back and forth would make absolutely no sense. I am fully living in the apartment until the end of the season. I still use the box truck as a car. I sometimes use it as a studio. I sometimes come in here and do projects. Like right now I have like electrical projects I need to do. But I'm not living in here right now, which actually makes it easier to get some things organized and set up that are hard to do when you're fully living in the vehicle. Like, I've done it, and it's always a little bit of a nightmare. When you can park something and just work on it and, you know, leave half-finished projects and finish them the next day, it's beautiful. And you can't do that when you're living in it. Like, I loved building on my box truck. It was a nightmare when I had to do anything that was detailed. There were more than a few things it would have been nice to have like 3 or 4 days to do. And I couldn't because my concern had to be sleeping in here. So like every time I cut a hole for a roof vent or a window or whatever, that hole needed to be closed by the end of the night. And that had to be my priority no matter what was going on. So that's why like I only did like 1 window a day because I could not cut 3 holes in here and have 3 open holes sitting while I tried to install 3 windows because I wasn't at a garage. So it's kind of great to not have to live in here right now. And so right this second, and not until the end of October, I will not be living in here full time. I may do videos from here on occasion, but I'm not living back in here full time until the end of October, and that is when I don't have access to the apartment anymore. Technically, they've given it to me till November 5th, but yeah. Hope Springs Eternal says, my Catman is, I love it, Catman, is super good about staying close. I have an air tag on him and keep him on a leash when I'm not watching him. I have an air tag on Mickey and I have a tile on Felix. And in the back of my mind, I've been like, I need to do a video comparing these 2 trackers in the near future. But yeah, like, I could find him if he ran off, but even still, like, it's good to know they won't do that because there's, you know, collar could get ripped off their chip. But for somebody to read a microchip, like, they have to go to a place where somebody can read the microchip. And so it's nice to know, hey, like, I'm still keeping them as safe as possible when that's the case. Penny in Kentucky says, I can't remember, are you a Walking Dead fan? It just started the last season. I don't think I've ever talked about Walking Dead on here. I was in the past. I don't know what season I stopped watching that show. It's another show that lost me. I thought the initial first season was brilliant, but after that, it just kind of got repetitive. Like, you know, it was like the human stories weren't that interesting to me anymore. the zombies, after you've seen like one zombie horde over and over and over and over and over and over again every season, it gets kind of repetitive. They stop being scary the more competent people get at killing them. Like before, it was like this actual horror scene. Whereas after a while, they become like, I don't know, like the big bad wolf you're waiting to pop out of the shadows. And so the human stories needed to be compelling enough to keep you around. And I just lost interest. Yeah. I don't even remember what season I stopped watching that show, but I did stop watching it. I used to watch it. Where was I? Tara says, have you seen those cat backpacks that have a window and can take them with you? Yes, Mickey had one as a kitten. He still has one. I actually just bought him a new one. Amanda Sinclair answered. Well, the problem is I have two of them now, and I think they can both fit in the new backpack, but Felix is getting really big fast. So I've actually considered getting a stroller. like a stroller, so I can take them both out at times where, I need to move, so I can't rely on them, walking the right direction on the leash. Like, I've actually considered getting a stroller, but then I'm like, I have to store the stroller. Like, one at a time is not a big deal, but to have them both out with me, I tried once on the leash and they were both going opposite directions, and it was like such a pain. I was like, this doesn't work. I ended up picking up one. Ooh, I really gotta wrap this up. CJW says we need a live where Dawn just talks Star Trek. Haha. Ooh, I might do that. Like, if there's enough people interested, I have found a lot of Trekkies on here. So if people are interested in like a geeky live where maybe we talk about Star Trek and Walking Dead and Rick and Morty or whatever else, people know that I love like geeky topics like that. Like, anybody who's seen my cabinet, we got the Star Wars right there. We have a Yoda. We got my man, the best Vulcan ever. Mr. Spock right here. We got my Delta. We got, this is a Full Metal Alchemist sticker that I just think is banging. That's a Death Note sticker. Like, I have loved, like, putting these little touches on the cabinet so it's just not a plain white cabinet. But I gotta have my man Spock. Oh, that's my man right there. And Full Metal is, like, still one of my favorite animes. So, I'm all about the geek topic. So, if anybody loved to do geek out focused lives, all right, I keep saying I'm gonna end this chat. Hopefully the all right, I'm doing a quick scan. Jose Zayas, I assume you're talking about Walking Dead, that they killed off the people I liked. Not everybody I liked had been killed off, but a good amount of them were gone by the time I abandoned the show. I'm seeing Yes Please on maybe doing a geek out session. Maybe I'll start doing them with Lower Decks episodes or something. But we don't have to talk about Lower Decks, but I know Lower Decks is the show that's airing right now. And use for two kitties. Okay. Well, I'm feeling maybe I should. All right. I'm out, guys. I probably yeah. It's been great. Goodbye from the box truck, which I will move back in November. I know I'm not a legitimate van lifer if I'm not living in here full time, even though I still own it and it's still my primary house. If you're not in the van all the time, you're not legitimate. So that's probably why I've been really reluctant to post videos, because I know how people get. Everybody says they're not, but as soon as you're not, say, are you even a van lifer anymore? I don't take you serious. You're not a van lifer. All right, bye-bye.